This video then was filmed last night, so by the time you're watching this, I'm probably halfway through a really busy day of concreting. But I've just found probably my most hated job in the garden, and it's definitely smashing rocks into the ground with a large hammer. I remember a simpler time when being out in the garden was all about planting amazing exotics like this Schefflera and watching them grow. Or seeing flowers, exotics like Xanthodecia bursting out of the undergrowth. Well, that's what gardening should be about, but tonight it's been about something very different. Instead, tonight has been another saga in the never-ending fire pit story. So if I just jump up here to show you, what I've been doing is getting a load of rocks in to form the base of the foundations. So they might just look like they're chucked in, but those have taken some serious effort with that hammer over there, a 14-pound hammer, and I've been beating them into the ground. So still some big lumps that I might take off the top, but I'm very happy now that that is well and truly smashed into the ground. It might not look quite as fine as a layer of proper limestone crusher that's been whacked down with a plate, but these have certainly been hit into the ground. And I had some leftover cement as well, so I've emptied that in, just washed it down to stop it drying out the concrete that's going down tomorrow. So I'm pretty happy now that that's a nice solid base. And I know that these walls, or at least the footings, they're probably not perfectly straight, but I've put a tape measure across it and I can get a straight line out of every single one. So that's the main thing. I suppose really the key is about being efficient with materials, not wasting too much concrete, but I'm happy I've definitely got a good solid base on the go. So I want to talk about a few more of your questions and also a little bit about how I think this area is going to develop in the future. So you just have to ignore all the weeds and the mess. A lot of this will be moved over the next half hour or so tonight, so I've got room to set the mixer up and get some ballast around here tomorrow. But if you look over here, you can see the kind of plants I'll be growing around this fire pit area. This is a Yucca linearis. I've got some rostrata. Some of them have suffered a little bit from being in pots, so I really want to get them in the ground as soon as possible. And there, a Brahea armata, Mexican blue fan palm. That should look fantastic. So I've got all kinds of different spiky arid style plants, and the plan for those is basically to have them on this back wall there. Now, I probably haven't explained it thoroughly in a previous video, but as I look towards the end of the garden, that's west that way. So the sun in summer rises somewhere over there, goes up here, just like that, and then arcs just round here. So this fire pit gets a lovely sort of amount of sun all day long, and in the evening it'll filter through those trees just over there. So this bed here, this raised bed, this will be the tallest bed, and it'll also have the most block work, the most hard landscaping, and that'll really help to absorb the heat of the sun. So this is definitely going to be absolutely baking in the middle of summer. So this is where the real spiky plants, the Yuccas, and these kind of really big, you know, sort of explosive architectural plants are going to go for a couple of reasons. Firstly, these kind of conditions will really suit them. Full sun, they're not fazed by any kind of wind, but they're going to have great drainage in here. In fact, the drainage is probably that good they might actually need some watering in summer, at least while they get settled in. And the other practical reason is plants like this, if you look at the Dasylirin over there, you can probably see just how spiky it is. Each leaf has got these tiny little sharp daggers on it. So plants like this, you don't really want them close to your face, close to your eyes. So here, when you sat down, hopefully these spikies will be well out of the way. But the thing is, this border here is going to be facing exactly south. So even though I've got the olive, the grasses, the apple tree and the eucalyptus, even though they'll size up relatively quickly, that baking hot summer sun will still be pouring in from that angle there, and this bed will see it completely. And there'll be plenty of room in front of those spiky yuccas for all kinds of agaves, succulents, and a few wildflowers too, because I definitely want this area to have a little bit more of a sort of nature twist, have a few more wildlife friendly plants. I'm really looking forward to seeing some real colour in here. So that's the plan for that kind of area. What I need to do in the morning is basically get some posts in just down this edge here in the soft ground, and then level them all up. Just basically put a spirit level between them all, so I've got a rough kind of height that I need to get the concrete to, because I've got a feeling, just looking back, that both of these sides aren't exactly the same level, so I might need a little bit more concrete in this side. But at the end of the day, it needs to be done. It needs to be done properly. I'll get it all leveled up, get some shuttering in, some timbers just to stop the concrete spilling over, and then we're good to go tomorrow. And do you know what? It's probably going to be a really hard day. I've got all the materials outside the front of the house, so I've got about 90 meters to get everything down here on a barrow. That's not going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of work, but once I've got that base in, I can then start on the block work, and that's the bit that will really feel productive. It'll feel like I'm getting somewhere. And for the person who asks what I'm going to grow on this side of the garden, I don't want to grow anything too tall there. Like you said, I don't want to block out that sun. I really want to have as much sun in here as possible. It'll be a proper little heat trap. So I want to plant a few smaller growing palms there. What I'm thinking is maybe a couple of waggies, Trachycarpus wagnerianus, because the crown on those doesn't get completely huge. They're going to grow relatively tall, but they're not going to block out much sun. And then at low level, I've got a couple more shamrops, I've got 2 volcanos which might go in, and then a couple of the standard Chamaerops humilis. So I think those will give it that nice sort of green palmy backdrop without being overwhelmingly big, without blocking out that sun, and without needing a lot of care. Because even though this size here isn't raised up, I'm fully aware that it will dry out relatively quickly, so I need very tough drought tolerant plants that can really take it during summer. And that's probably the theme with the planting in this area. It isn't just a visual thing, it's not just to take advantage of that sun, it's a practical element too. Because as you can see, my hose only really just reaches up this end. After the plants up here are settled in, I ideally want this to be an area I don't have to water. I want plants that can cope with our winters and also cope with the summers, especially in a warming climate. So that's the general theme of the area. Enough for me rattling on today. It's time to get this area tidied up, and tomorrow I'm concreting. So hopefully some big progress to share with you in the next video. So thanks as always for watching, keeping up with the progress. I'll see you in the next one. See you later. Just one last question I'm going to answer, looking through my notifications. Those eucalyptus trees there, they are going to grow significantly. And yes, they will block out sun heading over this way. They're bound to block out a bit of that late afternoon sun, but I think the trade-off is worth it, because what those will bring to the garden is a proper dense backdrop. Against the fence there, I've got all kinds of Trachycarpus and cordylines, but it's these eucalyptus that will really stand up tall. You won't notice that fence anymore when you've got huge eucalyptus trees rising up into the sky. And also, I think they're an exotic tree that's got quite a light canopy, so you still get a fair bit of light through them. I've got a few different varieties. The glaucescens, that is going to motor straight up at the back there. Neglecta, that does get pretty big pretty quickly, and then apparently it slows down a bit. And in the front there, the buffalo, that is eucalyptus that doesn't get truly massive. It'll form a nice sort of large shrub, small tree. So I think between them, they'll really give that air of the exotic, a proper little Australian woodland at the end of the garden. So for me, I think really having that height and the other benefit that they'll slow the wind down coming through the garden. I get some brutal winds from that direction. I think that's worth losing a bit of the sun for. And I think in this environment here, with the garden being so open, yes, it won't get the sun every single hour of the day, but I think it'll feel like a proper little sun trap. It'll be a really nice place to spend those summer evenings, hopefully, and listen to the birds sing away. This is where they're supposed to sing, but they're not doing it. Come on, Mr. Blackbird. Nope. Better. Right, thanks for that. I'll see you later.